Our cars are getting smarter, faster, and way more electric. And because of that, the skills you need to actually fix them, they're going through this massive revolution. It's not just about wrenches and grease anymore. So, how do you train a modern technician to handle the high voltage heart of an electric vehicle? Well, let's dive in.
All right, so first things first, we gotta wrap our heads around the core problem here. Working on an electric vehicle isn't just a small step up from a traditional car, it's a massive leap. We're talking a whole different and way more dangerous ballgame. So when you see a symbol like this on an EV, it's nothing like the little warning on a standard 12-volt battery. I mean, we are talking about high voltage systems that are absolutely lethal if they're handled the wrong way. The risk isn't just possible, it's immediate, and it is severe. Which, of course, brings us to the big question, right? How on earth do you give a technician hands-on experience with a system that's this hazardous without putting them in very real danger? You can't just let them learn by trial and error. That's not an option.
Well, the answer is this incredible piece of tech called the Car Train Trainer. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a flight simulator, but for EV technicians. It gives them a completely realistic, hands on place to learn, to practice, and yeah, to make mistakes, all without any of the, life threatening risk.
And yeah, just like in aviation, before you can even think about flying the thing, you have to master the safety protocols. And I'm not kidding, this isn't a suggestion, it is the absolute bedrock of high voltage work. So every single session kicks off with this super strict, non-negotiable checklist. The trainer's got to be plugged in, the e-stop released, the high voltage covers secured. And this is crucial. All the fault switches, and we'll get to those in a minute, have to be verified as off. You have to tick every single box every single time. No exceptions. And look, notice the emphasis on the physical checks. The trainee has to physically go and verify this big red button at the start of every single session. This is all about building that muscle memory, that discipline that becomes second nature when you finally get your hands on a real vehicle. And hey, you're not in this alone. A trained instructor is always right there, watching every move, maintaining what the manual actually calls strict HV training discipline, and making sure the simulator itself is working perfectly. It creates this totally controlled, safe, and really effective learning space. Okay, safety checks are done. Now it's time to bring this virtual vehicle to life. This is where the magic really starts. All right, so first you flip the main switch, turn the ignition key, and the virtual dashboard flickers on. But we're not going anywhere just yet. The system pops into standby mode, kind of like when you first get in your car and turn the key to accessory. Okay, now watch this. When the trainee turns the key, one more click to start, look what happens. The display shifts to preload. What that means is the system's high voltage capacitors and circuits are charging up, getting ready to unleash the massive power needed to drive the motor. You can literally see the system getting itself ready for action.
And then just a second later, there it is. Bam. The display changes to ready. The high voltage system is fully juiced up and active. A virtual car is live, and it's all happening safely right here on this board. But here's the thing. Getting the car started is really just the beginning. The real genius of the simulator is how it can safely create all the dangerous, tricky problems technicians are going to face in a real garage. And it all starts right here. See, inside this locked box, which, by the way, only the instructor can access, there's a whole panel of switches. They can flip one of these and introduce a specific real-world fault into the system. I mean, anything from a battery failure to a short circuit in the inverter, you name it. And this is just a perfect illustration of what happens next. So on the left, you've got the happy ready screen. But the second the instructor flips a fault switch, boom, the dashboard on the right lights up. Warning lights, a big fault message, the system knows something's wrong instantly. Okay, so now the real work begins. The investigation. You can't just start poking around. You have to plug in a virtual diagnostic tool, just like you would in a real shop, and read the fault code. And there it is. The system is telling them straight up, P3000, HV battery BMS fault. Now they've got a clue, a starting point. So after they've figured out the problem and simulated the repair, which in this case means the instructor flips the fault switch back, the trainee uses the tool to reset the code. And just like that, the screen is clear. There are no faults present. Problem solved. And a whole critical diagnostic process has been learned completely safely. But modern car repair is so much more than just reading codes. So let's take a quick peek under the hood of this thing and see the deeper skills these new technicians really need to master.
So this might just look like a wiring diagram, right? Nope. It's actually a live interactive interface. Every single one of these little ports is a measurement point. Trainees can use virtual multimeters to probe the system and see live voltage and current readings, letting them analyze the car's entire electronic nervous system in real time. And for the really, really tricky problems, they can even pull up a virtual oscilloscope. This lets them analyze the actual shape of the electrical waves moving through the system. I mean, this is high-level stuff. The kind of skill that used to be for engineers only, but now it's becoming essential for any top-tier auto tech. So, when you put it all together, you start to get a really clear picture of what it's going to take to get the next generation of automotive pros ready for this high-voltage future. At the end of the day, it really all boils down to this. The goal isn't just about fixing one specific thing. It's about drilling in a process, a methodology, how to safely shut down these high-voltage systems, how to follow a logical diagnostic path, and maybe most importantly, how to have the strict, unwavering discipline you need to work safely. And it kind of leaves you with this one big thought, doesn't it? As cars basically become supercomputers on wheels, is the mechanic of the future even a mechanic anymore? Or are they this new kind of hybrid part electrical engineer, part software analyst, and part high-voltage electrician?